When you wake up in the morning, the very first thing you should do is thank God. That moment your eyes open is not random, it's intentional. Somebody somewhere didn't get the chance to see another day, but you did. That means God still has a plan for you. Don't waste that moment scrolling on your phone, checking notifications, or letting stress invade your mind. The fact that you opened your eyes is proof that God has kept you alive for a purpose. Gratitude shifts your entire mindset. It takes your attention off of what's wrong and focuses it on what's right. If you start your day grumbling about bills, problems, or things that aren't going your way, that negativity sets the tone for everything else. But if you start your day by saying, Lord, thank you for breath, thank you for health, thank you for another chance, you create an atmosphere of joy before you even leave your bedroom. Too often we overlook the small blessings because we're chasing something bigger. But gratitude starts with the simple things. The ability to walk, to talk, to think, to see, to hear, those are gifts from God. Somebody would give anything just to have what you're taking for granted right now. Gratitude makes you aware of what you already have. And when you acknowledge God at the start of your day, it changes how you move through the rest of it. You're not as easily shaken, you're not as easily frustrated, because you already put yourself in a posture of thankfulness. Gratitude anchors you when life tries to pull you off balance. The enemy loves to distract you first thing in the morning, to steal your joy before your day even begins. That's why you have to be intentional about giving thanks to God the moment you open your eyes. Don't let worry have the first word. Let gratitude have it. Every new day is a new opportunity to become more of who God called you to be. That's why you can't or to start your mornings on autopilot. Gratitude invites God into your day before anything else. It says, Lord, I see you, I recognize you, and I'm depending on you. And here's the truth. When you learn to be grateful at the beginning, you'll see blessings throughout the day that you didn't notice before. Because gratitude doesn't change what you have, it changes how you see what you have. Gratitude doesn't add hours to your day, but it makes the hours you do have richer, fuller, and more meaningful. When gratitude becomes your starting point, peace becomes your companion. You begin to see problems differently, you begin to see opportunities more clearly, and you begin to see God's hand in places you used to overlook. Gratitude sets the tone, and once the tone is set with God at the center, the rest of the song of your life begins to sound different. You can chase after all the things this world tells you are valuable: money, houses, cars, followers, titles. But if God is not at the center of it, you'll find it slipping through your hands sooner or later. Success built only on hustle and ambition can make you rich in things, but poor in spirit. And when storms hit, when the ground beneath you starts to shake, that kind of success won't hold you together. When God is not in it, you end up feeling empty even when your hands are full. People work their whole lives to achieve something, and then they sit there wondering why they still feel restless, why they still can't sleep at night. That's because they built everything on sand instead of on a solid rock. Without God, success loses its meaning. But when God is first, success takes on a different form. It's not just about having stuff, it's about having peace with the stuff. It's about knowing that no matter what happens around you, you've got joy inside of you. That's the kind of success storms can't shake, because it wasn't built on money or applause, it was built on God's purpose. The truth is, worldly success is loud but temporary. It looks good for a season, but eventually it fades. God's success, the kind that comes from walking in His plan, is quiet but eternal. It's not always flashy, but it's steady. It keeps growing roots while the world is chasing leaves. There are people with more money than they can spend, but they don't have peace. There are people with fame that reaches every corner of the globe, but they still feel lonely. That's what happens when you achieve everything without God. You may have the world in your hands, but your soul will still be starving. Putting God first doesn't mean you won't have ambition. It means your ambition will be aligned with His purpose. And when your ambition is aligned with His purpose, you can chase dreams without losing yourself in the process. You can build without being broken. You can succeed without sacrificing your soul. When you let God be the foundation, He'll bless you in ways money can't measure. He'll give you peace in your home, love in your family, wisdom for your future, and joy that lasts even when circumstances shift. That's the kind of success that keeps you standing when everything else is falling. True C. Success is when you can look at your life and say, even if I lost it all, I still have what matters most, my relationship with God. Because if you've got Him, you've got everything you need to rebuild, restart, and rise again. One of the biggest mistakes we make is thinking we can figure life out on our own. We make plans, we strategize, we calculate, and then we wonder why things don't go the way we expected. The truth is, you don't know the whole picture. You only see what's in front of you, but God sees the entire map. He knows the turns, the detours, the roadblocks, and the open highways. When you lean only on your own understanding, you limit yourself to human vision, and human vision is short-sighted. We think in terms of what looks good right now, but God thinks in terms of what's good for your future. He sees danger before you get to it. He sees blessings waiting down the road. He knows where the path you're on will actually lead. Trusting God doesn't mean you won't ever make plans, but it means you put those plans in His hands. You say, Lord, this is what I want, but if it's not what you want for me, redirect me. That kind of trust requires humility, because it means admitting you don't know everything. We've all made choices that looked good in the moment, but left us hurt later. That's what happens when we lean on our own understanding. We chase what feels right instead of what God says is right. And then we look back wondering how we got so far off track. But when God is first, He keeps us from falling into traps that our eyes couldn't see. Some of you are frustrated because your plans didn't work out the way you thought, but maybe that was God protecting you from something you didn't even know was ahead. Maybe that no was really God's not yet. Maybe that closed door was really His way of steering you toward the right one. Leaning on God is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's realizing that He has perspective you don't. It's like having a GPS that sees traffic ahead while you're still driving blind. If you just follow His reroute, you'd get to your destination faster and safer than if you tried to bulldoze your way through. The more you learn to trust God's understanding over your own, the more peace you'll have, because you'll stop carrying the pressure of trying to control everything. You'll know that even when you don't understand, He does. Even when it doesn't make sense, He's got a plan. When you stop leaning on yourself and start leaning on Him, you'll find out that His ways are always higher than yours. His timing is always better than yours. His wisdom is always greater than yours. And His results will always outlast anything you could have created on your own. If you live your life based on what everybody else thinks, you'll never know peace. Opinions are endless and they change. With the wind, one day they love you, the next day they hate you. If you spend your life trying to please people, you'll exhaust yourself and lose sight of who you were created to be. When you put God first, His opinion becomes the only one that matters. People don't hold your destiny in their hands. God does. They can't stop what He has planned for you, and they can't give you what only He can give. So why give their opinions more weight than His truth? People will always have something to say. They'll criticize your dreams. They'll doubt your calling. They'll question your decisions. But if you let their words control you, you'll end up living their version of your life instead of God's version. And the cost of that is too high. The truth is, people's opinions are often based on their own limitations, not your potential. They speak from fear, from insecurity, from lack of vision. But just because they can't see what God is doing in you doesn't mean it's not real. You don't need their confirmation to walk in your calling. When you prioritize God's voice over theirs, you start moving with confidence. You stop needing approval from everyone around you. You stop waiting on validation from people who don't even understand what God put in you. You start standing tall in who He called you to be. And here's the thing, when you put God first, the same people who doubted you will one day be forced to watch God elevate you. They'll see the fruit of your obedience. They may not understand it, but they won't be able to deny it. That's the power of prioritizing His voice above all others. If you're waiting for everybody to clap for you before you move, you'll never move. But if you trust that God's yes outweighs every human no, you'll walk into rooms you weren't qualified for. You'll step into opportunities that didn't make sense, and you'll see doors open that nobody thought you could walk through. The only opinion that should guide your life is God's. Because when the noise of people fades away, His voice is the only one that will still be standing. And when He approves of you, it doesn't matter who disapproves. Life is full of crossroads. Every one of us faces moments where we don't know what to do. Do I stay or do I go? Do I take this opportunity or wait for another? Do I say yes or do I say no? And those moments can be overwhelming when you're trying to figure it out all on your own. But the good news is you don't have to. God promised that if you acknowledge Him in all your ways, He will direct your path. Too many times we make decisions in a rush. We react out of fear, out of pressure, out of emotion, and then later regret it. That's what happens when you move without seeking God first. But when you slow down and ask Him, Lord, is this for me? Is this where you want me to go? He will give you clarity. He doesn't play games with your life. He wants you to win, and He will give you direction when you put Him first. Sometimes the answer doesn't come instantly, but that doesn't mean God is silent. It means He's working. It means He's arranging things behind the scenes. If you rush ahead of Him, you might grab something that looks good but isn't good. But if you wait on His guidance, He'll give you what's not just good but best. God sees what you can't. He knows what's waiting around the corner. You might think an opportunity is perfect, but He knows it could end up hurting you. On the other hand, you might overlook something small, but God knows that small thing is the seed for something greater. That's why you need His direction, because He has vision, you don't. Guidance from God doesn't always come through a loud voice. Sometimes it comes through peace in your spirit. Sometimes it comes through doors that open easily and doors that close tightly. Sometimes it comes through wise counsel from people who walk with God. But one thing is certain, when you truly put Him first, you will never be left without direction. The pressure to make the perfect decision will break you if you try to carry it alone. But when you trust that God will guide you, the pressure lifts. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be prayerful. And prayer is what invites God into the process. When God guides your steps, you stop wasting energy on dead ends. You stop chasing things that drain you. You stop forcing things that were never meant for you. You start flowing in alignment with His will, and suddenly the right opportunities come, the right people show up, and the right doors swing open. Every decision you make with God first will add up to a life of purpose. And when you look back, you'll be able to say, I didn't get here on my own. It was God guiding me every step of the way. Fear will talk you out of opportunities God has already prepared for you. Fear will whisper that you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not strong enough. Fear will convince you to stay where it's comfortable instead of stepping into where God is calling you. And if you let fear take the lead, you'll never see what's waiting on the other side of faith. Faith is what silences fear. Faith says, I don't know how it's going to work, but I trust the one who does. Faith says, if God opened this door, I'm walking through it, even if I don't have all the answers yet. Fear tries to shrink you, but faith stretches you. Fear says, stay safe, but faith says, step out. The truth is, you can't have faith and fear in the same seat. One will always drive and the other will always take a back seat. When you put God first, you give faith the steering wheel. You let His promises guide you instead of your anxieties. You move forward even when you feel afraid, because faith is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to trust God in spite of it. Fear always exaggerates the problem and minimizes God's power. It tells you the giants are too big, the walls are too high, the obstacles are too heavy. But faith reminds you that the same God who parted the Red Sea, the same God who shut the lions' mouths, the same God who walked with Daniel in the fire is walking with you right now. Fear is loud, but faith is louder when God is first. You can't silence fear by ignoring it. You silence fear by feeding your faith. You feed your faith by speaking God's word, by remembering His promises, by reminding yourself of how He's carried you before. Every great step forward will always require faith. You can't play it safe and live in purpose at the same time. You'll have to risk being misunderstood, risk being uncomfortable, risk leaving what you know to step into what God has for you. But the reward on the other side is greater than the fear that's trying to hold you back. Fear will keep you stuck in the boat, but faith will get you walking on water. Fear will keep you hiding, but faith will make you bold enough to face your Goliath. Fear will keep you in bondage, but faith will break the chains. When God is first, fear loses its grip, because you realize it's not about how strong you are, it's about how strong He is. And when you trust Him, faith will always outweigh fear. When life starts going well, it's easy to forget where the blessing came from. We start thinking it was our grind, our hustle, our connections, our strategy. But the truth is, it was God who gave you the ability to get up every day, the health to work, the talent to produce, the opportunities to shine. Without Him, none of it would have been possible. Forgetting the source of your blessing is dangerous because it makes you prideful. Pride says, I did this on my own. Pride blinds you to the reality that every good thing you have came from God's hand. Pride is what makes people lose what they gained, because they start worshiping the blessing instead of the one who gave it. When you remember who blessed you, it keeps you humble, it keeps you grounded, it reminds you that the same God who lifted you can sustain you. It reminds you that you're not self-made, you're God-made. And that perspective changes how you handle success. Success without gratitude becomes arrogance, but success with gratitude becomes testimony. When people look at your life and see your accomplishments, you should be quick to say, look at what God has done. Look at how He made a way. Look at how He took me from where I was to where I am now. Remembering who blessed you keeps you from becoming entitled. You stop expecting everything to be handed to you, and you start appreciating every door that opens. You recognize that it's not just luck, it's God's favor. And favor is something you could never earn on your own. When you keep God first, you stop taking credit for things you couldn't have done without Him. You stop bragging about yourself and start bragging on God. And when you brag on God, you invite Him to keep blessing you, because He knows you'll give Him the glory. If you ever want to keep the blessings flowing, never forget the blesser. The moment you disconnect from Him, you cut off the source, but when you stay connected, He keeps pouring into your life. Gratitude is the fuel that keeps the blessing alive. Remembering who blessed you isn't just about saying thank you once, it's about living every day in a posture of thanks, knowing that without Him, you wouldn't be where you are today. Money has a way of revealing where your trust really is. A lot of people will say they put God first, but the moment money gets tight, their faith disappears. The truth is, your bank account will tell the story of who or what you trust. If you trust God with your money, you're saying, Lord, I believe you are my provider, not my paycheck. When you honor God with your finances, you're not just giving Him money, you're giving Him trust. You're saying, God, I know you can stretch this further than I ever could. I know you can provide opportunities I don't see. I know you can bless me in ways money can't. That's why giving isn't about losing. It's about unlocking. Putting God first in your finances means you stop letting money control you. Money is a tool, not a master. It's supposed to serve you, not enslave you. But when you put money above God, it becomes an idol, and idols always demand more, but never satisfy. Some people think if I had more money, I'd be happy, but the truth is, if you're not content with what you have now, you won't be content with more. Contentment comes from trusting God, not from chasing more zeros in your bank account. When you put God first financially, you start seeing miracles. You start seeing how He can stretch what you have, how He can provide in unexpected ways, how He can multiply the little you give Him into something greater. That's why tithing, giving, generosity, it's not about the amount, it's about the heart. God doesn't need your money. He owns it all already, but He wants your trust. And money is one of the biggest areas where trust is tested. That's why when you put Him first in your finances, you're really declaring, God, you are my source. The blessing of putting God first with your money is not always about getting more money back. Sometimes it's about protection. Sometimes it's about opportunities. Sometimes it's about wisdom to handle what you already have. But one thing is certain, when God is first, lack doesn't have the final say. Money will come and go, but God's provision never runs out. When you trust Him with your finances, you'll find that you're richer in peace, richer in joy, richer in opportunities than money alone could ever make you. This world is noisy. Everywhere you turn, there's negativity, distractions, pressure, and voices pulling at you. If you're not careful, you'll let that chaos rob you of your peace. But when you put God first, He gives you a peace that doesn't make sense to other people, a peace that's not based on circumstances, but based on His presence. So, C, protecting your peace means being intentional about what you allow into your spirit. You can't watch everything, listen to everything, or hang around everybody and still expect to have peace. Some people are walking storms, and every time you let them into your space, they bring their chaos with them. Protecting your peace sometimes means protecting your circle. Peace doesn't mean everything in your life is perfect. Peace means even when the storm is raging, you're steady. Even when people are against you, you're calm. Even when you don't have all the answers, you can rest because you know God is in control. That's the kind of peace money can't buy and the world can't give. When you don't protect your peace, stress takes over. Anxiety creeps in. You start losing sleep, losing joy, and losing focus. And the enemy loves to see you distracted like that because a restless mind can't hear from God clearly. That's why you've got to guard your peace like it's treasure, because it is. Protecting your peace doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means remembering who holds reality. It's knowing that no matter how loud the world gets, God's voice is louder. It's learning how to quiet yourself long enough to hear Him instead of letting every little thing disturb you. Sometimes protecting your peace means walking away from arguments that aren't worth your energy. Sometimes it means shutting off your phone and turning off the noise. Sometimes it means spending time in prayer until your soul is settled again. Whatever it takes, don't let anything steal the peace God gave you. Peace is one of the clearest signs that God is with you. You can't fake it and you can't force it. It comes from Him. And when you prioritize His presence above everything else, peace becomes your natural state, even when life is trying to shake you. Protect your peace, because once you lose it, everything else starts crumbling. But when you keep it, you can stand strong through storms, make clear decisions, and keep your focus on God no matter what's happening around you. Every single one of us has a gift. It may not look like the person sitting next to you, but it's there. Maybe you can sing, maybe you can lead, maybe you can write, maybe you can encourage others. Whatever it is, that gift is not random. It was placed inside you by God Himself. Your gift is a clue to your purpose. And when you put God first, He shows you how to use it. Too many people waste their gifts because they're chasing someone else's. But when you recognize what God put in you and you let Him guide it, that gift will open doors you couldn't open for yourself. A gift without God becomes dangerous. Talent without God becomes destructive. But when you surrender your gift to Him, He shapes it, He grows it, He refines it until it becomes something powerful that serves not just you, but others. Your gift is not just for or making money. It's for making impact. It's not just for building your name, it's for building His kingdom. When you put God first, your gift becomes bigger than you. It becomes a tool for Him to bless people through you. Stop downplaying what God gave you. Too many people are sitting on gifts because they're afraid they're not good enough. But God didn't make a mistake when He put that talent inside you. If He gave it to you, He intends for you to use it. And when you give it back to Him, He'll multiply it. Don't let comparison kill your gift. Somebody else might be doing the same thing as you, but they're not you. They don't have your story, your style, your journey. God made you unique, and your gift has a fingerprint no one else can replicate. The more you use your gift for God, the more He expands it. You'll find opportunities you never imagined. You'll see your influence grow. You'll see doors open you weren't qualified for. Because your gift is not about your qualifications, it's about His anointing. Your gift is a gift from God, and the way you honor Him is by giving it back. When you put Him first, your gift won't just make room for you, it will leave a legacy that outlives you. Look around at your circle, because your circle is shaping your future. If everybody in your life is negative, doubting, gossiping, or pulling you away from God, you will eventually start sinking to their level. The people you spend time with are either fueling your faith or feeding your fears. When you surround yourself with people who put God first, you rise higher. They encourage you when you're weak. They pray for you when you can't pray for yourself. They remind you of God's promises when life tries to make you forget. That kind of circle is priceless. If you're the smartest, strongest person in your group, you're in the wrong group. You need people around you who challenge you to grow, who inspire you to believe bigger, who live in a way that makes you want to get closer to God. Some relationships are seasonal, and that's okay. Not everybody is meant to go with you to the next level. When you put God first, He will reveal who should stay and who needs to go. Letting go is hard, but it's necessary if you want to step into everything He has for you. The wrong circle will drain you, but the right circle will build you. The wrong people will push you into temptation, but the right people will push you into purpose. That's why your environment matters so much, because who you're with determines where you're going. Don't ignore the red flags. If someone consistently pulls you away from God, no matter how much history you have with them, they're not healthy for your future. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is say no to toxic relationships. When you surround yourself with people who love God, you're reminded daily of what it looks like to live with Him first. You're not walking this journey alone. You've got people fighting with you, believing with you, growing with you. Your circle is either a cage or a launch pad. If you want to soar, surround yourself with people who are flying toward God with you. Just because you put God first doesn't mean life will be easy. In fact, sometimes it gets harder. Trials are not punishment. They're preparation. They're not there to break you. They're there to build you. Trials reveal how strong your faith really is. And everything is good. It's easy to say, I trust God. But when the storm hits, when the job is lost, when the diagnosis comes, when the bills pile up, that's when your faith is tested. That's when you find out if you're leaning on God or just on good circumstances. Trials refine you. Just like fire refines gold, trials burn away what's weak so that what's strong can remain. They strip you of pride, of selfishness, of things you didn't even know were weighing you down. And when you come out of the fire, you come out stronger than you went in. The enemy wants you to believe trials mean God has abandoned you. But the truth is, God is often closest when the storm is hardest. He's walking with you through the fire, even when you can't see Him. He's holding you up in the valley, even when you don't feel Him. Every trial has a purpose. Some trials are meant to stretch your faith. Some are meant to shift your perspective. Some are meant to set you up for the blessing that's coming next. But none of them are wasted. When God is first, every pain has purpose. If you only trust God when life is easy, your faith is shallow. But if you can trust Him in the middle of chaos, that's real faith. That's the kind of faith that shakes hell. That's the kind of faith that makes demons tremble, because they know you won't fold under pressure. Trials are the training ground for destiny. Every great man or woman of God in the Bible went through something. Joseph went through the pit and the prison before he reached the palace. David fought lions and giants before he wore a crown. Jesus himself faced the cross before he rose again. So don't run from trials. Stand firm in them. Because when you put God first, your test becomes your testimony, and your struggle becomes your strength. One of the most exhausting ways to live is trying to keep everybody happy. You can post something online and half the people will cheer while the other half criticizes. You can make a decision in your life and someone will always have something to say. If you live for their approval, you'll die from their rejection. Chasing approval is a trap. It makes you second-guess yourself. It makes you delay your calling, waiting for someone to clap for you. It makes you compromise who you are just to fit in. And when you live like that, you lose sight of God's voice because you're too busy listening to everybody else's. Putting God first means realizing His approval is the only one that matters. People's opinions are temporary, but God's word is eternal. People can love you one day and leave you the next, but God's love is consistent. Stop waiting for everyone to understand you. They won't. Stop waiting for everyone to agree with you. They can't. Stop waiting for everyone to support you. They won't. But none of that matters when God has already approved you. When you chase approval, you end up empty. But when you chase purpose, you end up fulfilled. Purpose doesn't require applause. Purpose doesn't require likes. Purpose doesn't require validation. Purpose requires obedience to God, even if no one else claps. Some of you have been stuck because you're afraid of what people will say if you move forward. But if you don't move, you'll miss what God has for you. Their opinions can't stop His plan. Their rejection can't cancel His promise. Freedom comes when you stop performing for people and start living for God. When you no longer need their applause, you can finally run your race with confidence. When you no longer fear their criticism, you can finally walk in your calling without hesitation. Put God first, and you'll realize His well done is worth more than 1,000,000 claps from people. Whenever something good happens in your life, give credit where credit is due. Don't let people think it was just you, your talent, your hustle. Point it back to God. Say, look at what He did. Look at how He showed up. Look at how He opened this door. Giving God glory keeps your heart in the right place. When you take the glory for yourself, pride creeps in. Pride says, I earned this. I made this happen. Pride blinds you to the fact that it was God who gave you the strength, the strategy, the connections. Pride is dangerous because it sets you up for a fall. But giving God glory keeps you protected. The more you honor Him, the more He honors you. When you give Him glory publicly, He blesses you privately. When people see you shine, but you point them to God, He trusts you with even more, because He knows you won't steal His credit. Giving God glory is not just about words, it's about lifestyle. It's about living in such a way that people can see Him in you. It's about letting your actions, your character, your choices reflect who you belong to. Every blessing you have is a testimony. Your job is not just to enjoy it, it's to use it as a platform to show others what God can do. Somebody's faith is tied to your story. When you give God the glory, you strengthen someone else's belief that He can do it for them too. Don't ever get so high that you forget who lifted you. Don't ever get so successful that you stop bowing your head in gratitude. Don't ever get so blessed that you forget the blesser. The higher you go, the more humble you should become. When you give God glory, you attract His presence. He inhabits the praises of His people. And where His presence is, blessings follow. That's why the quickest way to more is to give thanks for what you already have. Glory belongs to God always. When you keep that perspective, He'll keep taking you from glory to glory, from level to level, from blessing to blessing. It's easy to put God first when you're desperate, when things are falling apart, when you don't have answers. But what about when everything is going well? What about when the bills are paid, the promotion comes, the doors open? Too many people forget about God in their success. God doesn't just want to be your rescue. He wants to be your constant. He doesn't just want to be first when you're in trouble. He wants to be first when you're on top too. If He was worthy of your prayers in the valley, He's worthy of your praise on the mountaintop. When you put God first, in every season, you stay balanced. Success doesn't make you arrogant, and failure doesn't make you hopeless. Because your foundation isn't based on circumstances. It's based on Him. Every season brings different challenges. In hard seasons, the challenge is trusting God when nothing makes sense. In good seasons, the challenge is remembering God when everything makes sense. Both require focus, both require humility. Seasons change, but God stays the same. That's why your relationship with Him should never depend on how you feel. Feelings are inconsistent, but faith is steady. When you keep Him first, no matter what, you remain anchored no matter how much life shifts. Some of you prayed your way into blessings, but now that you've received them, you've slowed down your prayer life. Don't forget, the same God who gave you those blessings is the one who will sustain them. If you disconnect from Him now, you risk losing what you worked so hard for. The real test of faith is consistency. Can you love Him when it's raining and when the sun is shining? Can you serve Him when you're empty and when you're full? Can you trust Him when you're waiting and when you're winning? That's what it means to truly put Him first. Keep God first in every season, and you'll never have to fear losing. Because no matter what changes around you, your foundation will always be secure. When you put God first, everything else in your life shifts. Your perspective changes. Suddenly, problems don't look as big because you know your God is bigger. Opportunities don't intimidate you because you know He opened the door. Obstacles don't discourage you because you know He can move mountains. Putting God first changes the way you see yourself. You stop walking in insecurity and you start walking in identity. You realize you're not just somebody trying to survive. You're a child of the Most High God, and your steps are ordered. That kind of confidence can't be shaken. It changes the way you treat people. When God is first, you love differently. You forgive more freely. You give more generously. You stop competing and start serving. Because you realize it's not about climbing over people. It's about lifting them with you. It changes the way you handle success. Instead of letting it inflate your ego, you use it as a platform to glorify God. Instead of getting lost in blessings, you stay grounded in the one who blessed you. You see success not as an endpoint, but as a tool for greater purpose. It changes the way you handle failure. Instead of seeing it as the end, you see it as a lesson. Instead of letting it break you, you let it shape you, because when God is first, even your failures are not wasted. They become stepping stones. Putting God first brings order to the chaos. Life without Him feels scattered, confusing, and overwhelming. But when He's first, everything else finds its proper place. Priorities become clear. Decisions become easier. Direction becomes sharper. When God is first, you stop striving and start trusting. You stop fighting battles in your own strength and start letting Him fight for you. You stop stressing over outcomes and start resting in His promises. Putting God first doesn't just make life better, it makes life possible. Because without Him at the center, you'll always be chasing peace, chasing joy, chasing fulfillment. But when He's first, everything else falls into alignment.